Well, howdy folks. Guess what time it is? It's time to replace the battery in our Casio G-Shock GA100. So this watch, the battery's dying on it, and one way to tell is that the digital time is correct, 10:21, and if we compare that to another Casio I have down here, 10:21. This is the A158W, trusty old Casio, basically an F91W but in chrome enclosure. The analog time is saying it is 12:24, which is incorrect. Now there's a way to fix this and I'll go through that in a second, but first thing we're going to do is change the battery. So we'll begin by undoing these 4 screws here, and there's that one there and one here and one here, and I'll do that and I'll show you what's next. So all 4 screws are off, and now we are just going to lift this cover. There will be a waterproof O-ring, and you can see it's kind of half pulling off there. So make sure you definitely don't lose this O-ring, and make sure you put it back correctly as well. Now the next thing we have to do is we have to gently pry this plastic cover off. Okay, this does 2 things. One, it provides some sort of shock support for the movement, but the case already does that anyway. The other thing it does is actually provide some sort of stability for the movement to sit in the case properly. So we're going to make sure when we put that back that the case lines up for 2 reasons. One, so that way when you push the buttons for selecting your different modes, the pushers inside here, and you can see this little arm here, that's one of them, and there's one more here, and one on this side hiding as well. You want to make sure they line up, and also you want to make sure that the dial face lines up when you're looking at the watch. And see this little spring here? Make sure you do not lose that. I'm going to turn the watch around because the clip for the battery is on this side, and we're going to pop that off and replace the battery. Alrighty, so I got the watch case turned around, which is going to make it a lot easier. Now what I do to pop this battery off, a lot of videos on YouTube show people removing this sticker. You do not need to remove this sticker. What this sticker does is it tells you how to reset the watch when you replace the battery, and that's an important procedure to do so that the watch operates correctly. You'll find that a lot of quartz watches, quartz digital watches, or the ones that have analog hands have to do that. So what I do is I get a little tiny screwdriver, and this one's been filed down as you can see as well, and I just pop it in under here, and I'm going to put my finger over this because I don't want it to pop and go flying somewhere. But basically you just pry inside here, and I'm trying to do this through the lens, so it's a bit difficult. You can get it. There we go. Okay, so that's it. Now all we do is grab our tweezers. Now I'm using metal tweezers here, but this battery's dead, so who cares? But it is not recommended to do this because now I'm shorting out the battery and absolutely killing it. You do not want to do that with the new battery. I'm going to use both hands and remove the new battery. It's an Energizer CR1220. That's what goes into most G-Shocks, but definitely check your manual or do some Googling and find out for your specific model. You can see there it says Energizer and 3 volts. I will get the old one onto the multimeter to check what the voltage is like, but bear with me as I rip open the packet for this new battery, and I'll show you how to fit it in. Alrighty folks, so I just popped the new battery out, and just don't touch it because the oils in your finger will destroy the battery. So what I'm going to do next is I grab this piece of tape here and I stick it to my tweezers, and now the battery won't short out. And what we're going to do is come over here and pop the battery back into where it goes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, sorry about that framing, I'm going to go ahead and just push that battery back in and push the clip down, so bear with me, I'm just going to use 2 hands. Alright, so I've popped the battery back in, and literally all we have to do is press down onto the battery cover and it should clip in. It should clip in. It should clip in. Alrighty, that was a bit fiddly, but this clip here was able to finally go in. So the next thing I'm going to do is refit the spacer for the movement. And I'm just going to make sure before I install the watch completely, or finish installing the case back, I should say, I'm going to make sure that everything is lined up. So I'll turn the watch over and have a quick look. So bear with me for 1 second. Now I'm just holding the watch upside down because I don't want the that spring to fall out. But the reason you want to make sure things are lined up, I don't know if this will come out or not, but if you look closely, let's see, will that come out? You can see, it's hard to tell, but you can see the movement is not lined up, especially at that 12 o'clock position. And the lines aren't lining up at all. You can see the top of the frame on the left-hand screen is facing towards the bottom of the 9 o'clock position. And if you look at the frame on the right-hand screen, it says H set, you can see it's facing towards the top of the 3 o'clock position. So it looks like the clock movement is cocked slightly counterclockwise, and that's not good. We need to fix that. Alrighty folks, so that's back in properly. Now, one last thing we have to do, and this is a bit of a thing that sometimes a lot of people forget, is, I'm going to bring you up here. Now, I've put the cover back on so it's a bit hard to see. Let me see if we can focus in. Okay. So you can see here it says AC, all clear. And there's a little line and there's an arrow going to this little hole down here. What we need to do is short out that particular spot against any part of this metal. Now, specifically this minus sign here, and that's what it says on this sticker. It says that to clear the watch after replacing the battery, you short out this gold pad that's inside here against minus. Now, this entire piece here is all connected, so you can drop your tweezers in, hopefully making contact, and short out. And that should give us the all clear. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place this O-ring back onto the movement. And apologies, it's a black watch, so everything's really hard to see. Okay, so that O-ring is in place. And the next thing we're going to do now is put the cover back on. And just to make sure that it's orientated the right way, you want the writing, in this case, you want it so when the watch is orientated with the buckle facing upwards, the writing follows it. So I'm going to put that in place and we'll screw down the watch, and then I'll show you how to reset it. Now I'm just going to gently tighten these screws, and once I've got all 4 in, then I'm going to tighten them down a little bit more. Now these are tiny little screws. You do not need to reef down on these, okay? This is where you put away the 200-pound gorilla and you get out your 100-pound ballerina, and you just gently, with no pressure, you know, these are tiny little screws. Oops, wrong screwdriver. Yep, wrong screwdriver, hang on. Where did my other screwdriver go? You want to just gently screw these down. Like I said, you don't need to reef on them. These are tiny little screws, and you definitely don't want to, you know, be pushing down hard on the watch. You know, it is a G-Shock, it'll last, but things go flying and you don't want to do that. Okay, and back to where we started. So you can kind of see I was doing a little bit of a crisscross pattern there. I'm just going to go around each one and make sure, yep, they're all tight. So the battery replacement's done. Now I'm going to show you how to reset the times to make sure that those hands actually line up now. Alrighty folks, so as you can see, the time's all wrong. The hands gone are all, everything's gone funny. It's in stopwatch for some reason. So what we're going to do is we are going to reset it. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go to time. Where's time? Okay, here we are. And I believe you hold down the adjust button for X amount of time. And you have to set your time zone to start with. So what we do here is we go through, I think we press, yeah, I think you can press the top and bottom. Yeah, you can, to go through. And I'm in Australia and my time zone will be Sydney. So I'm just gonna keep scrolling through until we get to Sydney. There we go. Sydney's now flashing. We don't need daylight savings time for now. I'd like to have 24-hour. And the seconds I don't care about just yet, but we will go back and set that. Here's where we set the time. So I'm going to go with my old Casio again. Let's look here. 10:43. Let's make it 44. So, oops, press the wrong button. That's all right. We can go back. It's 12, 11, 10. There we go. Press mode again. I'm sorry, the hands are in the way. I probably should have set those first. And the time is now 10:44. Okay, so 10:44. Let's go to the next bit. Here's where we change the date. So it's 2021. Here's where we set the month. So it is September right now, so 9th. Unfortunately, these all run on American times. And what's today's date? Today is the 8th, I believe. We're going to change that date to the 8th. Press mode again. Now LT1 stands for how long the light stays on, the backlight. And I think you can change it to 3 seconds or 1 second. I like it on 3 seconds. And here we are back to our time again. Now you can see the digital time says 10:45, but the hands are still wrong. We can fix that. So let's get out of here. Oh, let's see if the time automatically adjusts. It may not. We can't do anything when this is happening. No, it's saying it's 11:15, so we're going to fix that too. Okay, and you can see that beautiful light shining brightly now. Prior to this, it wasn't working at all. So we're going to hold down the button down here. This is the, it's called forward button. Hold it down for 3 seconds or 5 seconds and yep, everything's going to change. Now you'll see this display flashing sub. We need to make the sub dial aim towards 0. And I think you can't hold this one down, so apologies for the bad camera work. But we're just going to have to keep pressing it until it reaches the center. And that looks like it is exactly in the middle to me. Then I'm going to press the mode button and go to the time hands, the handset, and you can see the display's changed here to handset. And you can see the time's all wrong. What we need to do is make it go to 0 hours, 0 minutes, which is basically midnight. And I'm going to press and hold this down until it does. And when it gets close, I'm going to press the button individually until you can see there it's perfectly lined up on the 12. And then I think then we're done. Oops, no, go back. There we go. And then we press the time, and guess what? Now it's going to go back to the 10:47, I believe it is now. I have to wait. And there we go, 10:47. 10:47, and the time is 10:47. There you have it. That is the full method of changing the battery. Now you probably will need to go and set alarms and things like that again. I don't use any of those features, so I don't really care about that stuff. And yeah, I hope you learned how to change a battery in your Casio G-Shock GA100. So thanks everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click subscribe. Please like it and share it with your friends if they happen to have a G-Shock and they're wondering how to change a battery and set the time. Oh, and before I go, I did say I'm gonna show you what the flat battery looks like in regards to voltages. So what I'm going to do, let me see if I can rig this up. This is the old battery here. So I'm going to see if I can rig this up to my multimeter and I'll show you what the voltage should be on a flat battery. All right, here we are, folks. I've got my probes connected to the battery. I am probing the battery. Insert dirty joke here. And if we go up to a multimeter, it says 2.67 volts. Now that doesn't sound very flat for a 3-volt battery, but guess what? It's flat enough to not run a watch. Sometimes when a lithium battery or an alkaline battery or even, I don't think they do mercury batteries these days anymore, but they don't always have to go down to 0 to be flat. They'll just be a little bit flatter than what the nominal voltage is supposed to be. So there you have it, folks. Flat battery in our G-Shock and is now running well. The display is nice and bright. The light is nice and bright. Let me see if I can do that. Check that out. Boom.